voting hours, early voting hours. How do you propose to pay for it? It's going to cost those election boards more money, won't it?
Well, we're asking LSC to look at how much it would cost, but I will say that rather than us totally focusing in on the cost, you know, there is a cost to democracy, and whether or not it's worth it for the voters of Ohio to have that access. As you do probably remember, in 2008, certain boards of elections did decide to increase those hours, and I continue to use Cuyahoga County as an example, where in 2008 we had 4 weekends before the last 3 days that particular board of election decided was in the best interest of the voters of that county. So yes, we don't run away from the fact that it will cost, but it is worth the cost when it comes to opening up the access for voters.
The past election showed that a lot more people voted by mail versus early in-person voting. Why so much focus on these mandatory early voting locations that are much more costly rather than just go more with mail voting?
Well, people in the state of Ohio have come to expect and enjoy multiple opportunities to vote. So, vote by mail is an option, but voting early in person is an option too, and it's an option that should continue to be afforded. And if it is afforded, voters should not have less opportunities to do that, and that happened in 2012. So it is one of the options that voters should have. If we go, I would not, even though vote by mail was utilized, I wouldn't say that as a state we should go solely to vote by mail just because that may be a little more on the side of budgeting. We should do what we've been doing as a state since 2006 and make sure that voting opportunities are open, so whether it's by mail or whether it's early voting in person. I can tell you in the last 3 days of early voting all across the state, people were in line, and they were in line for a long time, and that shows us very clearly that people like to vote early in person. They like to come to the polls. Everybody doesn't like to vote by mail, but it should be an option.
Senator, is there anything about 35 days out that bothers you? There are a lot of questions in Ohio, 35 days early voting. I think leads the country as one of the states with the longest period of time. That can fall before the final debate or any debates between candidates. Last-minute mailings, maybe last-minute information that comes to voters. Philosophically, is there anything about 35 days? And if not, why not 45 days or 90 days? I mean, what is it about 35 days?
Well, the 35 days was put there before my time. I don't know the rationale for it, but now that it is in place, I support the 35 days. You're right. I mean, if we want to have a debate about it, I'm certainly open to that. But the fact is that Ohioans have come to enjoy those 35 days. I'm proud that we have more days available than any other state, and we should be proud of that too. I don't understand why people want to take that away. Voters have shown that they really enjoy that, and 2008 was a great example of voters really taking the opportunity to utilize that. So I know that there's a little controversy and concern about that, but I have not seen anything that really shakes the foundation of elections in Ohio that would point to a need to take away the 35 days.
What grade did you give John Husted?